First of all, I'd like to read a quote from Robert F. Kennedy, who said, "Each time a person stands up for an idea or acts to improve the lot of others or strikes out against injustice, he or she sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance." So this paper is entitled "The COVID-19 Genocide of 2020. COVID-19 was long pre-planned in documents and simulation exercises emanating from the eugenicist Bill Gates and the Rockefeller Foundation. A platform with 200 detailed levels is provided by the World Economic Forum, led by Klaus Schwab, a technocrat and promoter of transhumanism, in order to provide detailed instructions on how the COVID-19 pandemic is to be used to implement a global monetary reset and digital currency, technocracy and totalitarian government worldwide under the guise of socialism and environmentalism, with China as the model, and enslave humanity through a sinister vaccine conspiracy. Earlier attempts were made to engineer pandemics, but none succeeded. This time, the World Health Organization changed its pandemic criteria in advance so that it could declare a pandemic on spurious grounds. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, a terrorist and accused genocidist, was appointed head of the World Health Organization in order to orchestrate the pandemic and facilitate the totalitarian takeover. Wireless technology suppresses the immune system. 5G is implicated in COVID-19 through correlations between the locations of the 5G rollout and morbidity and mortality, as well as the prior administration of flu vaccinations in Wuhan and Milan. The symptoms of COVID are virtually identical to the symptoms of exposure to electromagnetic radiation. Extensive military research over many decades was kept secret, and regulatory agencies were co-opted in order to prevent the public learning about the extreme dangers of electromagnetic radiation. Doctors receive no training on the risks to health of exposure to electromagnetic radiation, and therefore misdiagnose electromagnetic radiation exposure symptoms. Hospitals are extensively equipped with 5G, putting patients' lives at risk. 5G serves many purposes. It is a depopulation and military weapon and facilitates the introduction of technocracy and totalitarian control by enabling surveillance, facial recognition, 24/7 monitoring of individuals, mind and body control, and, in combination with vaccines and chemtrails containing nanoparticles, the torture or murder of targeted individuals. Electromagnetic radiation can be used to simulate pathogens and overwhelm the immune system, and cell phones may be being used to simulate COVID-19 contagion among co-workers or family members. 5G has been widely installed terrestrially and in space to target and control populations. The illegal coronavirus measures were used by governments to accelerate the 5G rollout and install 60 gigahertz public access points in schools in order to target children. Illegal legislation has been put in place in numerous countries to remove civil liberties, to destroy economies, to close down small and medium-sized businesses, to separate, isolate and terrorize family members, to impoverish people, including by destroying jobs, to remove children from their families, to intern dissenters in concentration camps, to grant immunity to government operatives to commit murder, rape, and torture. That's the UK. To use the police, army, and mercenaries to control populations, to force vaccinate populations with a non-medical vaccine containing population control mechanisms without their informed consent. There is and was no pandemic since the curve was flattening before the lockdown measures were put in place. Mortality is at a lower level than in previous years. The PCR test, which was never designed as a diagnostic test and gives up to 94% false positive results, is used by the oligarch and government-controlled mainstream and social media platforms to terrorize populations for the purpose of obtaining obedience. The illusion of a pandemic is stoked by doctors being forced to attribute virtually every death to COVID. Medical staff and doctors are intimidated to prevent them speaking the truth about the fake pandemic. In the UK, the death certificate is being changed to prevent relatives being able to question the cause of death. Tens of thousands of doctors have now come out to confirm that COVID-19 is a hoax. There were no COVID deaths in Ireland until the 20th of April, and since then, the lockdowns have been based on 98 deaths out of 5 million people, while 30,000 people die annually from other diseases. Only people with a hot infection, with symptoms such as headaches or a sore throat, are contagious. 86% of COVID cases are asymptomatic carriers and therefore harmless. A Stanford University antibody study concluded the death rate to be between 0.1 and 0.2%, right in line with the seasonal flu. Initial projected death rates from the World Health Organization were 20 to 30 times higher. In June, the US Centers for Disease Control confirmed the overall infection fatality rate to be just 0.26%, way lower than the 3.4% estimate of the World Health Organization, which helped drive the panic and the lockdowns. But even that is an overestimate. The infection fatality rate for non-nursing home residents is likely only 0.1% or 1 in 1,000. The UK and German governments stated in documents that they were deliberately ramping up the fear level, including traumatizing children by making them believe that they would torture and kill their relatives if they failed to wash their hands and obey the corona measures. Children were made to believe that they could show their love for their grandparents by not coming near them. Social distancing is a torture technique devised to traumatize, and its purpose is to condition people to distance themselves from others so that they can be seen and targeted by the 5G weapon. Government and World Health Organization policies are deliberately aimed at killing people. In many countries, doctors were ordered not to admit the elderly to intensive care units and to withdraw all health care, and national health systems stopped providing health care other than that for COVID, abandoning the sick to die. In France, the government issued a decree ordering doctors to administer to the elderly a drug restricted since 2012 as it was contraindicated for respiratory problems. In the US, hospitals were heavily bribed to diagnose COVID and put patients on ventilators that killed them. The World Health Organization and governments suppressed successful treatments, one in particular in use for 70 years,